It is my privilege to introduce Quincy Chapman to share his what I think is a short job search, but he's going to share what worked for him and where he's going and anything that he wished he would have done different or things that he thought were the things that everybody here should be doing. Quincy, it's all you. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Hey, everybody. I just want to talk a little bit about my journey. I know everybody's journey is different, but I'll just tell you a little bit about my journey. Just for my background, I spent about 25 years in the professional business, right, doing projects, large scale projects with high stakes, and so people call me like a project fixer or a cleaner or whatever you want to call those people. If you ever think of Olivia Pope on Scandal or Brad Pitt on F1 or Samuel Jackson on the movie Cleaner, I'm that type of guy in the professional world, right, business world. So, anyways, went to I was working at CHG Healthcare, and I was recruited by them at one point a couple of years ago to kind of come in and be a change manager, so a senior change manager and transformation manager. They were trying to stand up a change management office. I have a background in change management. Really, my background's stronger in project management. But I took the role. At the time, I had 5 direct reports and was a leader, and so I went back to a individual contributor role, and because I really kind of missed it, and I thought maybe that was my thing, my jam. I quickly realized after a couple of years, I was feeling a little weird about it, but um, love the job still. And so, but they came out with layoffs, and so I think sometimes layoffs when you're the older guy, and you're just came in. You're only 2 years in the company. You kind of get targeted, and even though the performance was high, which it totally shook me because the performance was high, and then from my perspective, sometimes guys, we're very prideful. Um, we're the providers, and so we lean on, that's part of our story, and it really impacts our ego. It impacts how we feel. And I don't know how it does with women, but for guys, it really like damaged my ego a little bit, my pride. But I didn't think it was personal, but it's just how I felt about it. Um, so this happened on February 28th, and so I took a couple weeks just to kind of regroup and settle in and try to figure out what my next steps were, and really like look at what was important to me. And when I did that, I realized that I really love leadership and being in the leadership role and not so much the individual contributor role. So I looked at that and said, what do I really want to do? And then what is my career, trajectory here, and when do I kind of want to stop working, and what are the impacts, and how should I line myself up? Positioning, try to position myself. I redid my resume, and doing so, also sent my resume over to Steve, and Steve kind of gave me some critiques on my resume. Some of those approaches were to make it more ATS friendly, right? To be very tailored on specific jobs. So I had multiple job resumes, and then I submitted that. I also kind of cleaned it up where I didn't look like the old guy. So I really focused on more of the talent and the skills that I had, and put those at top, right? And then I spent less time, trying to describe what the role was and more about what the impact was. And that was from a lot of coaching from Steve. So I really appreciate Steve there. And then I started resending out my resume to project roles that were leadership roles. And then one of those roles was NRG, and it was a project management office leader. And so I had an interview, and then I went through a series of interviews over the whole month. So they interviewed me like 5 times. So I had 5 interviews for this role, which was crazy to me. Um, And each interview took about, you know, 7 days, 8 days for the next communication. And hey, we want to get an interview. Um, I think inside my interviews, I really just tried to, you know, understand who the people were. So I did a lot of research. So when the thing with NRG, they'll tell you they put the names on the interview. So I would go to LinkedIn, I would go to Google, see who these people were, and try to tailor my communication to who those people were. If they were an operations leader, if they were a revenue leader, if they were a financial leader, they're a supply chain leader, or if they, you know, I try to make sure that, you know, I was hitting those points. And so I spent a lot of time um, practicing in the mirror or practicing on video to try to figure out how to speak to those people. Because I, you know, normally I would say certain things, and I needed to be more catered and tailored, kind of like the ATS thing, right? Um, there's some more coaching from Steve. Just, you know, be confident in the room, and really realize that you are the person instead of me trying to get the job. That I'm already in the seat, and if I was the person interviewing that you, how would I talk, right? Like, so I'm the person that's actually the manager, and so I try to like practice that as well. Um, and then, I got a little frustrated, to be honest with you, with the 4 interviews and waiting and waiting and waiting. And so I had to be honest, I had to, I leaned on my faith and action, right? For me, and it's, personal, and I know that that's not for everyone, but for me, it's like lean on your faith and then action, and then just trust the actions that you put in place. And then, just, don't worry about it. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it doesn't. It's out of your control. You did what you could do. And then, I got the last interview, and it was in person. So I had one in person. This was the second one in person already. And so, this one, they wanted me to meet with the senior VPs, and I was a little like, okay, they're really not part of the role, but once I got in there, I realized that they are close to the work that I do. And they were very aggressive. Like, as soon as I sat down, they were pounding on me like with questions left and right. Like, every time I stopped, it was like immediate question after it, so I had to be really sharp on my feet. And so I think the practicing helped me be sharp on my feet. And then, I try to also understand that senior leaders don't always want to be in the tactical. They really want you to talk strategic. And so I talked a little more strategic, and I really talked more like they do, like they weren't project managers, right? Like, I can't talk the project management language. I got to make sure they understand what I'm saying. So I did say things like, if you've seen the Formula One movie, I'm Brad Pitt, I'll come in. Like, you got project managers. You don't need another project manager. You're not, you're racing the track, right? You're winning, but you're not winning. And you need someone to come in and say, okay, why did we need to change the vehicle here? We need to add these tires. Oh, I need to intentionally stop and slow down so everybody else can get mad and lose their time, right? Like, all the things that Brad Pitt was doing, I try to bring those things up, like projects and project management. And then they started laughing, and then they were like, we needed the other VP in here because he's a Formula One fan. That was great, Quincy. So I think that actually helped me connect with them and push me to get the offer. And so I got the offer. I talked to Steve. I was like, Steve, the offer's too low. I don't like the offer. And Steve was like, Quincy, calm down, calm down. Let me talk you through it. And so we talked about the offer. Steve helped me look at the salary.com. And then, Steve began giving me tips to kind of negotiate. And so one of those tips was, hey, I don't see a signing bonus on there. Did I miss it? And they were like, we don't normally do signing bonus, but we'll go have a conversation about it. And they came back and gave me a signing bonus. And then the other thing was like, the level here, I don't know. I'm more of a senior leader, and it's more of a strategic role. You guys even talked about the strategy and the importance of the role. You interviewed me 5 times. And so they said, oh, well, okay, we'll come back. And then they came back and they gave me a little more money. And then a lot of it was about, get in here and do some work, and maybe we can have a different conversation. after a year, right? And so, based off of those things and where I was at, I took the offer. So a lot of kudos, a lot of praise to Steve for his work that he's done with me and just helping prepare me, and then additional research that I've done on Google and all the different things, and just trying to prep. And then at the end of the day, just faith and prayers for me with the action. So I'm gonna pass it over back to Steve. Steve, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
I know it's hard to read my lips. Um, so I said I don't deserve all that credit, but thank you. I'm going to go through here what we traditionally do. I randomly pick people, and people can either just congratulate you or they can ask you specific questions that, as I tell people, you're the new hero. You just landed a job. So I'm going to just pick on people randomly. When you see your picture on there with Quincy, you'll know it's you. And that is the first person up is Sean.
Well, congratulations, Quincy, first and foremost. How many different places did you apply to, and how many times did you change your resume?
Great question, Sean. I probably applied to like 4 a day, 4 jobs a day for about a month. Maybe 3 weeks. Maybe that first week I was kind of just trying to transition. But yeah, 4 jobs a week. A lot of no's, a whole bunch of no's, quick no's, and then just kind of retailoring my resume. So I had probably 6 resumes: one for project manager, one for change manager, one for operations manager, one for financial manager, and then one like a mix one, like just a general Steve Sean. Um, and then based off of the feedback from Steve, I altered some of those to make them more ATS friendly. I think I wasn't hitting the ATS friendly thing, and so that's why I think initially I got a lot of rejections. It was very upsetting at one point, but I know it happens, and I know the market's kind of crazy. It's yeses and noses, and all kinds of 30,000 people getting laid off. So I just try to stay faithful, sharp.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Sean?
No, that'll do it for me. I don't want to take everybody else's questions.
All right. Okay. Next up is we will go with somebody who worked at the same company. You may or may not know her. Kaylin.
I knew it. I just have congratulations. That's awesome to land a job in such a short amount of time and to do that. And my questions were the same as Sean, as the resumes and how many jobs were you applying to? So you've answered that. So I don't have anything else. But congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Okay. Next up is Tommy McBain. And he's not bowling. He's not.
Um, all I can say is congratulations. I don't have any questions, but congratulations.
Thanks, Tommy. Love the background, man. Make me want to
Thanks.
bowl, man. I miss it.
Okay. Next up is John Light.
First, congratulations. But I don't have a question, but I want to commend you on being so brave as to, last week here in the meeting, we talked about signing bonuses and asking about that. And to me, after you've been rejected so many times, sent resumes to so many places, and gone through so many interviews. It's pretty doggone brave to stop them then and ask them about the signing bonus, even though I think it's the right thing to do. So just congratulations on that, and also on stopping them about the pay and asking for more. That's a brave thing after, all you've been through. So congratulations about that too.
Thanks, John. I definitely would say I was definitely nervous about it. Especially when I said these things to and this is the HR person I'm talking to, right? It's not the hiring manager.
Mm-hmm.
And so the HR person is like, you wait, you did a verbal. And I said, well, when I talked to the hiring manager, I said, send it over to me digitally, the offer, and I'll take a look at it and think about it and then respond back to you. Once I had the chance to think about it, I'm responding back to you, HR. And so that was, they try to like get a little upset. HR kind of got a little upset and kind of pushed back, like, wait a minute, you are. I said, well, I didn't agree, to these numbers. And then they said, well, we don't have the money, and um, um, we don't do signing bonuses, John. Like Quincy, we don't do signing bonuses at all. We just don't do them. And I did all this research. The HR said we did all this research, and you're in this band, and this is the band, right? And so definitely was nervous about what the conversation, and I didn't want to create contention there, John. But I had to like at least try to like with some coaching from Steve, like really put it out there in a professional way. So and not emotional, right? And say how I really felt about it, and continue to say it. I think the conversation went on for about 15 minutes, John, before she said, "Okay, let me go talk to some people." Like, and then she said, "Like, don't expect this to be done in 24 hours. Like, I got to go talk to all these people." I said, "Okay, whenever you need to do whatever you need to do, I'm still here waiting." And she said, "Okay." And so I got off the call like, "Oh, did I mess up?" Right, but yeah. But she came back in 24 hours. So even though she said she wouldn't, she did come back.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. I think Steve coached me up. I think he said, don't let, he said, be strong. I said, okay.
Anything else, John?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. All right. Gallery, gallery, gallery. Oh. How about Mike?
Yeah, congratulations, Quincy. Great job. What kind of project management do you do? Are you in heavy industrial or are you in IT type of projects?
That's a great question. I kind of do all of them. But in this particular role, it's more operations, logistics, and revenue. And it's the energy company, so in the energy space, I spent a lot of time in energy, probably 16 years, 17 years, doing that. So that's my foundation. But because I've done those projects, I got had to do tech projects and then healthcare projects and then insurance projects. So I got a string like I got a all over the place resume, and that was the other challenge, Mike. Is I don't have a traditional. I've sat at this one company or I sat in this one type of role or industry. I've been all over the place, and so I had to really like show the value there because people may see it as I'm all over the place and I'm not concentrated. And so I talked a lot about um, being intentional and building my resume like a portfolio, like your 401k. I didn't want to dump everything into cash. I didn't want to dump everything into stocks. I didn't want to dump everything into bonds. I try to diversify my portfolio, really lean on my mentors to say, hey, take this next challenge. And that's what I did.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Next up is Kevin McBain.
actually McFadden,
I
but
mean, bad and sorry, Kevin. Yeah, sorry, Kevin. Sorry about that.
no problem. All good. Hey, Quincy, congratulations. Don't know that I like the fact the rest of us look like slackers now when you kill it in only 1 week. But just curious, like what tools did you use in your search, right? So a lot of us use AI. We've had talks about like Canva and Notebook LM. What tools did you use in your job search that you found useful?
That's a great question, Kevin. Hmm, I think I used LinkedIn a lot. Um, I use Indeed. Um, and I used ChatGPT to give me like I put in what I was looking for and ask it to give me jobs related to my resume. And it would pull up links and I would apply for those jobs. Um, I think the other thing I did is lean on my network. Even though I didn't get any jobs out of it, Kevin, I did get an interview at a bank when I talked to one of my network and said, "Hey, looking for a new role." And then so she connected me with the hiring manager, and so I did get an interview, but it was in banking. And once again, I don't have a traditional background, so it definitely didn't. They didn't feel like I was the greatest fit. Um, um, those were the ones I kind of used. And of course, Word to kind of update my resume a lot. Those are the ones I use.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin McFadden. Okay. Next up is Tammy Wilson Carranza.
Hi, Quincy. Congratulations. I'm really impressed.
Thank
I
you.
ha I have no questions.
Thanks, Tammy.
Okay. That's a first, Tammy. Okay.
I would also like to just say I've been. This is not, the first time I've been out of work, and I was out of work. I think probably 5 months, and so at one point before this a few years ago, and so I try to do it a little differently this time, but I definitely understand. I've been there and the impacts to you and your family and just everyday life. So I just want to say, hang in there. You guys got this, and um, don't let your mind start and your emotions start pounding on you. Um, 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 I was watching a show on energy because I'm an energy guy, and they had a camera and they showed people when they sat down and when they got up and their different heat signatures. It was all based off of energy. And what they said is whenever you talk, when you say something out loud, it produces a color. And if they put music to it, it produces a sound. And if it's negative, it goes, eh. And if it's positive, it's like, eh. So energy is a real thing. And whenever you say these things out loud, make sure you're saying positive and putting good things out in the world, even though you're being impacted and it's not feeling good, right? Um, yeah. Sorry, Steve. Just want to throw that out there.
Oh, do. Yeah. Okay. One that we won't be able to see her video, but I always have legal here. That's Tara. She's an attorney. Tara. Tara, can you hear us? There she
Did you
is.
call on? Who did you call on?
I called on you.
Okay. I don't know what's happening with my internet today, but like when you called on me before, it kicked me off and then I got back on and now it just froze. So if I'm non-responsive, that's why.
Did,
But so Quincy, congratulations. I don't currently have any questions. And if I did, I bet I would get kicked off.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay. Newest person today is Jane. Jane, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, but I do want to say congratulations. I hope you get to stick this for a while and you don't have to go through that emotional part of being unemployed again. I mean, I understand that, and I don't want you to have to go through that too again.
Thanks, Jane. I really appreciate it.
Okay. And I think I've got everybody but one, and that would be Caden.
Hi, Quincy. Congratulations. Uh, what what about like your previous job experience did you highlight in your resume?
I tried to, that's a great question. I think initially my resume was more descriptions of the role, right? And so what I highlighted is um, the outcomes, like say, for example, I took that XY, I think it's an XYZ or something formula where you, I Googled it and kind of used that and talk and try to tie it back to that company's what they, the goal of the company, and try to highlight that. So I increased by doing this project. We increased 15% of production throughout the year 2025, something like that. I tried to, or despite a 10% reduction in workforce, we still came in 10% under budget, or things like that, to try to
Cool.
show numbers and outcomes.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Caden. Appreciate you.
Okay. One more. Jason Green. I think I got everybody but Jason.
Yeah, he said before it was the last one. I think you
Well,
forgot me.
I saw Roger Minnick pop in, but he popped in after the story. So,
Right. Yeah, congratulations. So can you say what the company is, or is that a proprietary thing?
It's a NRG, which is a large energy company. They're based in their headquarters in Houston, and then have all kinds of satellite branches or sister companies around the United States. But they're definitely headquartered in Houston.
So are you in Utah?
I'm in Utah.
And so is there a plant here or an office here?
Yeah, they've got 3 or 4 offices here. If you think of some of the work that they do, it's smart homes, Vivint. I don't know if you've ever heard of Vivint. They also
and weren't they doing some nuclear stuff here a few years ago?
they do nuclear stuff too. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah.
So you were
They got,
talking about in your interviews, you were trying to, instead of being tactical, you're being strategic. I thought that was an interesting combination of words. Of what was that contrast really doing?
was that kind of interesting? I would say
Because like you said, you were just saying for the resume, well, reduced, you were highlighting specific achievements with data. But I'm just curious how you approach that in the interview.
Yeah, great question. I used the STAR method, which I looked up.
All right.
When they asked me a question, I said the situation, the task, I forget the A, and then the results, the activity, action, something like that, and the results. And so then I spent more time on the results So I spent a lot of time on the problem, the situation, and then the results.
Ah,
In between, you know, I didn't talk too much about because that's the tactical. I really
right.
spent, yeah, the end, the beginning and the end.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, and in terms of relating that to those letters, yeah, because that's something that Steve taught, um, or teaches. But I'm not sure you've been here long enough to know all the lessons that Steve has.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so congratulations again on getting it turned around so quick. Um, and I hope it turns out to be a great job.
thanks, Jason. Appreciate that. Definitely, it was a blessing. Definitely.
Amen.
Okay. I think that I have got everybody. So I guess we will wrap that up here with final thoughts from Quincy. So, Quincy, any final thoughts, to-dos, and suggestions to people?
No, I don't think so. Um, I would say just continue to trust yourself and trust the process. Um, the only other nugget I would say is, you know, I really thought about who I was, and what I do, and that even included going back and taking a personality test and determining I'm an ESTJ, and knowing that, you know, that means I'm great at logistics. I even put ESTJ when I brought in my resume. On the front of it, I had ESTJ, and I talked about it when they asked me to introduce myself. I think that may have also resonated, that I knew who I was, and what I was bringing to the table as a person, um, as well as, you know, talk about what I do, but knowing who I am as a person tied into, well, I'm applying for a job that's really about logistics, and guess what? My whole personality and who I am is logistics. So you guys keep it up. Don't lose faith.
Okay. As we always do, we want to show gratitude. Big round of applause for him coming. Quincy, thank you so much. And I'm going to end this recording.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right.